Hello, hello, hello. This is Elizabeth Clare Brewington with Elton Brewington, and we are touring around America. And so we kicked off our Juneteenth and had an amazing time. And now we're getting ready to travel to every state for our 250 celebration of this fantastic country that all of us have learned so much. So Philip has the privilege, like me, of living in several places and several countries. But we're going to talk about the Knicks today and
Yes,
New
yes.
York and then move to Atlanta. So share your Knicks story and growing up in New York and some of the highlights about New York, and then we'll talk about Atlanta.
Yeah, so thank you for having me, Elizabeth, and also thank you for, wanting to talk about a wonderful topic. As a native New Yorker, I grew up in Long Island, Hempstead, Long Island, back in the 70s. And when I got out of the military, I moved into Harlem and lived on 124th Street, 123rd Street between Manhattan and Morningside, and then on Spanish Harlem on 111th and 2nd Avenue. And then I moved into Brooklyn in Canarsie and eventually brought my first home in the Rockaways, Queens. So I am a native New Yorker. I got my undergraduate degree from Metropolitan College of New York and my graduate degree from Fordham University. I've worked for the New York City Housing Authority, and I also worked for the Health and Hospital Corporation for 8 years, a total of 10 years as a public servant for the city of New York. So I am a New Yorker. I live in Atlanta now, but I am a diehard New Yorker, and I love any sports team coming out of New York. And so with the Knicks, I'm 68, and so I remember the Knicks of the 70s, and so I was very disappointed, like many New Yorkers, that the Knicks were not, but, you know what we went through a slump, and we always thought that we come out of it, and I think that well, what has allowed us to come out of it today is that the leadership and the coaching have finally gotten on the same page and realized that you just can't have one or two players
Yeah.
on a basketball team. You need to have a cast that are working to a team of five and then a bench, and so we have that. And so now finally we won out. And so in 53 years, we finally won the championship. And so the streets of New York were filled. New Yorkers are generally, kind of like we're kind of brash people. We keep to ourselves, and people think that we're rude and uptight. It's not that we're rude and uptight. It's just that, we have a way of going about conducting our business. But when the Knicks would begin into their championship run, the city just came alive. I mean, everybody was just speaking and hugging and laughing and being polite and just feeling the vibe, man, that the Knicks, out of all the Knicks, not the Giants, not the Jets, not the Mets, not the Yankees, not the Islanders, not the Rangers, the Knicks. The Knicks were going, look like they're going to the championship, and we did it, right? And so now it's just what great way to celebrate them and recognize, my pride of being a New Yorker and the love for my New York basketball team, but to wear a T-shirt on the day I meet with Elizabeth.
That is exactly how I feel because we rooted for the Knicks, rooted. But the thing is, we were diehard fans, even when they
Yes,
lost.
yes,
We were strong, and you're right. We put our head down and we said one day they'll win. So
yes.
we believed in them. So yeah, you have really a very fantastic New York experience. You've done it all. I mean, I don't think there's anything better than living in Harlem and experiencing it. And, I think that's outstanding. So, Atlanta, what's Atlanta like? What's living in Atlanta like? Was there a huge transition from New York to Atlanta?
Oh my gosh. That's a whole nother show, Elizabeth. So I'll make it short. It took 3 years for me to really complete the transition from living in New York to living in Atlanta. And Atlanta's a fine place. I live in the boroughs in suburbs of Atlanta, but we say we live in Atlanta because everybody knows Atlanta, right? And you have the metro area, and so I live in one of the metro counties of Atlanta, and it's a fine place to live, right? But I had to learn how to, just so many things I had to get acclimated to that we just didn't have in New York. And we have highways, But highways in New York are like 2, 3 laners. But in Atlanta, for example, you got 5 lane highways on each side. So I mean, it's the landscape and the way we commute and the way we conduct our business is similar, but there's some differences. And I had to just pace myself and be patient with understanding the how Southerners are, and they're beautiful people, and I've been accepted as a member of the community, and I love it. I'm married. My wife and I have a home in Marietta, Georgia, and so I've given up riding the trains to now driving the cars. I've given up the skyscrapers to now having low level. Well, the skyline of Atlanta has really flourished over the years I've been here, but for the most part, the suburbs of Atlanta are very different than the city of Manhattan. The pace of Atlanta, of New York, we're all on this moving escalator as New Yorkers, right? And no one recognizes how fast we're moving because we're all moving at the same pace, right? But then when I came here, things slowed down a lot, and I, was able to process things different. I was able to see things I didn't see before. I was able to just really begin to I think the best way I could say is just plug some holes in my life. I won't say holes, but vacancies or voids in my life, because New York is the way it's moved so fast. We don't pay attention to certain, at least I didn't. We didn't pay attention to certain things. And now living in Atlanta, I'm much more detail oriented. And I think being a business owner and of a successful business has really helped to allow me to acclimate to living in Atlanta. And it's turned out to be a wonderful decision.
Share one more time about the book, because I'm sure you've talked a little bit about New York and Atlanta in the book. So
Yeah.
share about the book, and then we'll end this interview.
Sure, sure, sure. And again, Elizabeth, thank you so much for inviting me to be your guest. It's a wonderful, you're doing a wonderful job, and you're living a purpose-driven life. And so my book is titled Relentless Excellence: A Story of Family, Business Building, and Value-Driven Leadership. And in February, I launched the book. It could be found on Amazon. You can also read an excerpt of the book on my website, which is www.philliphogan.com, philliphogan.com. And the book is basically a really a book focusing on me as my life as an entrepreneur and how I became an entrepreneur, and the various chapters of my life that I went through to become the person that I am, to become the man that I am, the business person I am, the father that I am, and the husband that I am. And I leave with this, is that when the essence of life, I think the essence of life is to be able to find the lane that you're supposed to walk down in life and stay in that lane. I was supposed to be an entrepreneur, but I ventured off into many different lanes until finally resting in the lane that I'm on. And everything that I've accomplished, every person I am today has really come into full fruition in the past 10 years because I've been an entrepreneur. So take your time, listen to yourself, experiment with some things, experiment with the options that are available for career. And whenever you decide that, okay, this is and it feels right, stay with it. No matter how difficult it is, no matter how disappointing and discouraging it is, stay with it, because the blessings and the gifts that are for you are going to be in that lane. But if you're in the other lane, and if you're in the wrong lane, then those gifts and blessings, they're not going to come over to where you are. They're going to come in the lane that God has presented before you. So my encouragement to you is find your lane in life, stay on it, and I guarantee you'll live a fruitful, long life.
There you have it, the best advice. And we hope that you will enjoy all our videos that we'll be dropping on every Wednesday, so that you can tour with us across America and meet some incredible Americans. And thank you again for your service and all that you continue to do for the community. We're so, so appreciative. This has been such a great time that I have enjoyed. You're watching Discover Brightside, and if you would like to join the tour, write us a comment and we'll send you information on how you can do that. And write us a comment if you're from Atlanta or New York, and come on, cheer us on, because that's how we do it at the tour. Thank you.